पीले रंगों का है मैल ये जग सारा. Then choosing various colors.
Black and yellow.
Black and yellow.
Left and right side.
Black and yellow का है मैला ये जग सारा. By the
whole
dirt.
world is dirty with this color.
इस दुनिया के सब रंगों से तेरा रंग है न्यारा.
तो माइनस भी सकता
I am saying, the poet is saying that all these rangs, all these colors are on one side, and the color of mother is so distinguished,
unique.
so unique, so colorful, that all the colors are on one side, and mother's color of love is on one side. That is the uniqueness of that color. कोई उतार न पाए. सहज का लगा है रंग ये तेरा, कोई उतार न पाया. But this is the color which is permanent, which is eternal.
Sahaj color.
Sahaj color, which is eternal, which is everlasting, which can never get faded by effects of time or by any event. This is the Sahaj color. Nobody can take it away from you. It's a permanent thing. It shall remain ever. So the poet is trying to say that this color has been now put on us. So we are the fortunate people. We are very colored people. हम क्या जाने भक्ति रंग में मन कैसा रंग पाए, रंग जाएगा उस रंग में जो तू वो रंग चढ़ाए. Oh mother, we are too innocent to know to what would be the color of my devotion. So there is, you see, the rang means also how you get drowned in a particular thing. To rangala, that means it's very difficult to get drowned. To get involved. I know, Shivaji, as it is, English is quite difficult and my English is worse.
Immersed.
Immersed. Yes. Maybe immersed, yes. You're so immersed in devotion that we do not know as to what color our devotion will take. But it will definitely take the color, whichever color you gave, O Mother, to us, the devotion. तुम निर्मल हो, हम पर करना निर्मल रंग की छाया. You are pure, Mother, and we are asking you to give us that pure color. It also paradoxically means that Nirmal is also white, so you could color us in pure white. It has been my thought that when we are in our white, we are so spotless that even a small stain shows out. So the Sahajis have to be stainless, not steel, but stainless. तेरे रंग में ऐसे रंगे हम दूजा रंग ना लागे. No, this is very difficult to explain. Again, we are so immersed in your color or in your bhakti. तेरे रंग में ऐसे रंगे हम दूजा रंग ना लागे. Nothing else we enjoy anymore. We don't find attraction in anything. तुम बिन कोई नजर ना आए इन नैनों के आगे. We do not perceive or see, or we do not have the vision of anything excepting you, O Mother. जल को स्थल को सारे जगत को रंगारंग बनाया. The water or the oceans or the earth or the entire cosmos, Mother, you have painted in your color. This is what it says. This is the best I could do in English. It means much more.
ही भाषेत क्या नाही आहे ना, एवढी गहनता नाही आहे त्या भाषेत. इंग्लिश भाषा काय म्हटली तरी अधुरी पडते. I'm just telling him that English is not such a deep language. So sometimes this is the point. That's the fact. What we're doing.
Good evening, everyone. For today's meditation, we'll bow down to Shri Mataji and take Bandhan. We'll put our right hand on our left heart and take Shri Mataji's permission. This meditation. Shri Mataji, please give us permission for today's meditation. And please forgive us for any mistake we do knowingly or unknowingly. Shri Mataji, you do everything, we do nothing. We'll put our right hand towards Mother Earth and left hand facing towards Shri Mataji and say Shri Nirmal Ganesh mantra 4 times. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Nirmal Ganesha Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devyai Namo Namaha. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Nirmal Ganesha Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devyai Namo Namaha. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Nirmal Ganesha Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devyai Namo Namaha. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Nirmal Ganesha Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devyai Namo Namaha. We'll keep our attention on our left Muladhara chakra. Shri Mataji, make us innocent like a child. By your grace, Shri Mataji, we are innocent like a child. Shri Mataji, please destroy all the negativities from our left Muladhara chakra and then bring it in balance. Keep our attention in our left Muladhara chakra and Sahasrara for a few seconds. We'll keep our right hand on our lap and then left hand on Mother Earth. And say Shri Kartikeya mantra 4 times. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Kartikeya Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devyai Namo Namaha. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Kartikeya Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devyai Namo Namaha. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Kartikeya Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devyai Namo Namaha. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Kartikeya Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devyai Namo Namaha. We'll keep our attention on our left Muladhara chakra and then on our Sahasrara. Shri Mataji, you are Shri Kartikeya. Please destroy all the negativities from our left Muladhara chakra. And please destroy all the negativities within us. And please bring our right Muladhara chakra in balance. Keep our attention on our right Muladhara chakra and our Sahasrara for a few seconds. Now we'll keep our right hand on our Agya chakra, on our forehead, and say Shri Jesus Meri Sakshat. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Jesus Meri Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devyai Namo Namaha. Shri Mataji, we forgive everyone and we forgive ourselves. Now you can keep your right hand on back Agya and say Shri Mahaganesh mantra. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Mahaganesh Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devyai Namo Namaha. Shri Mataji, please forgive us for any mistakes we have done knowingly or unknowingly. Please forgive us, Shri Mataji. Now we'll keep our right hand on our left Nabi and say Shri Graha Lakshmi Sakshat. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Graha Lakshmi Sakshat Shri Adi Mataji, Shri Nirmala Devyai Namo Namaha. Shri Mataji, your peace within us. We'll keep our attention on our left nabi and Sahasrara. Please help us establish Shri Graha Lakshmi Tattva within us, Shri Mataji. Your peace and happiness within us. By your grace, we are satisfied within us, Shri Mataji. Please destroy all the negativities within our left nabi and please bring us in balance. Please bring our left nabi in balance. Now we can put our right hand on our Sahasrara and say last mantra of Mahamantra. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Kalki Sakshat Shri Sahasrar Swamini Moksha Pradayini Mataji Shri Nirmala Devyai Namo Namaha. And rotate our Sahasrara chakra 7 times. And bring our hand on our lap and put your attention on Sahasrara. We'll keep our attention on Sahasrara for a few seconds. And be in thoughtless state. And listen to Shri Mataji Samritvani.
We all are expecting something great to happen. And the happening that has to take place has been already described in all the scriptures. But somehow we are misled by other people who have a better way of manifesting their own style. And we get so confused because this is the time of great confusion. Without the confusion, evolution cannot take place. Unless and until people are confused, they will never try to aspire for something high. if you see in the animal stage also, there was a confusion for the fishes to come out. And that confusion made one or two to lead the rest of them. And that's how they could crawl onto this Mother Earth with confidence. So the areas started changing gradually. That from Mother Earth, then they started looking towards the sky. And the evolution went on like this till the human beings were created. Now, all these areas are within ourselves. These are all the elements into which we had to probe into. We had to find about them. And through this evolution, we have been able to look into these, to fathom them, to find out their nature through our intelligence. So we reached this point where we could understand the elements, we could understand their use for our purpose. So far, so good. But that's not the end. That's not the end of our evolution. If it was, then there would have been no more search. There would have been no more seeking. People would have been happy, would have been satisfied. But that's not so. So there has to be something more that we have to achieve. At this time of great confusion, we have certain lampposts, we can say, or beacons to guide us. And these beacons are all the scriptures. Now these scriptures are also so much being misused and misrepresented and explained in such a funny way, and everything made into a money-making proposition, that it adds to the confusion more. So you get much more confused and confused and confused. Imagine the light that has to show your path becomes an illusion. How are you to find your path then? But this is the pastime of human beings. You can't help it. You give them everything and they can convert it into a confusion. You can see the results of these, see in our politicians, in our economists, our psychologists. All of them seem to be quite confused. And they don't know what the other person is saying, what they are saying. They cannot relate it to something absolute. So we have to find out that absolute point where this confusion drops out. At this level only you can find it out. At this level only it can be given. At this level only that will manifest. Before this, at any other stage, it is impossible. It was impossible and it is impossible. So at human stage only it is going to manifest. But human beings also must know that they have some drawbacks compared to other stages. At the animal stage, or say even earlier stages, you can say, at the element stage, elements don't have to think. They don't have any choice. They don't have to bother about anything. They just exist. They are not aware of anything. They are just existing with whatever are their qualities. Say hydrogen is hydrogen, oxygen is oxygen. They are bound by different valencies and different qualities and their chemical compounds and their physical powers by which they act, react, and exist. Then when the life started itself, at that time also, life was guided very much by nature. The evolution was very much controlled by nature. I'll give you an example of that. A gentleman who has written a very nice book. I would not give you the name because you'll immediately buy that book and start reading the whole. But he was experimenting with some oysters, and he had them first in Los Angeles, where the sea was. And he found out that when the tide was low, these shells used to open themselves up, the oysters. And when it was high tide, they would close down because the water should not run into them. And you know that the tide time is bound everywhere. Anybody can calculate it, sitting down here, what is the tide in Falkland. So he removed those shells from there, brought them to Ohio, which is very far away, and there's no sea. And he put them down there. And they were opening at the same time. Now see, the time changes according to the moon. So the water was acting according to the moon, and these oysters were also acting according to the moon. But when the time changed, they came to Ohio, still they had that habit and they were opening. But suddenly they changed and they took to the timing which would happen if the sea was there in Ohio. So they were so much bound still by nature. Nature controls them. Up to a great point, nature even controlled human beings. But in the animal stage, one has to know that to find out the difference between an animal and a vegetable, what happened was, first, the cellular wall was doubled. So element was first put into a cell to make a vegetable. And the vegetable was given a double wall to make it a human being, animal. Now, animal that has become a human being has a triple bond. That's why it's the confusion. That we call as human freedom, that we are free to do what we like. What's wrong? Correct? If somebody wants to commit suicide, what's wrong? Somebody wants to kill his father, what's wrong? Laws, according to many people, is all artificial, man-made, is correct. So what's wrong? So we were bound thrice. The third binding came when, as human beings, we started acting, creating our ego as a byproduct of that action, physical and mental. We developed ourselves into an egg. we became just like eggs. And this egg had 3 shells. First one of the human shell, second of the animal, and third that of the vegetables. And inside that were all the elements. That's how we are made. But for what? Why? Why this freedom was given to us? To get us confused? Because we had to go to a higher evolutionary state. And that higher evolutionary state has to give us complete freedom from all these 3 bondages. The vegetable bondage, which makes you stick to one place. The animal bondage, where you cannot think, and human bondage where you think. Man can't live without thinking. It's a bondage. We can't get out of it. Like horns, it grows into your head. You can't stop it, you know. Even if you cut your throat, you cannot stop it, some people say. It's surprising. It's so bad. It's such a bondage in us. All the time we think, think, think. This is the third bondage of human being. But what happens with this? When this bondage is broken, light comes in. Through the light. And this light gives you enlightenment in all these three prisons into which you are imprisoned. And you get a complete integration into all these different bondages within you. And you start seeing the absolute truth that all this is bound by one thread. All these elements, all these vegetables, animals, human beings are bound by one thread. And when you start seeing that thread as a witness, you start seeing the play of all these elements, of all these bondages, beautifully. But there's a very great difference between the other evolution and the evolution of man at this stage. There's a very great difference, I think, which very few people realize. That before the evolution, up to human stage, you are not aware of it, and you can't do anything about it at all. Supposing a seed evolves into a better fruit, it doesn't have to do anything about it. Somebody else has to do. If you sprout a seed, then you have to look after it throughout. Sprout the seed, then take the seedlings, put them right somewhere, then let them grow into a tree, then you have to prune the tree. Whatever you have to do all the time. You have to look after the tree. But after this evolution, this jumping, this happening, when you become the self, you have to do something about it. You have to, because you become the master of your being. It is you who have to work it out. In Sahaja Yoga, there are many people who get realization. It's very easy. The confusion is so great that people want to come out of it, they get it. But again they are drawn back into it because that time, which is so important, the intermediary time, where you have to stick on to that area, to that new dimension of collective consciousness. Your willpower doesn't act. And that is the time you require this willpower. Already you are exhausted. So many are exhausted because of seeking, because of worrying, because of thinking, wrong seeking, gurus, this, that, all kinds of exhaustions are there. Family life, married life, every sort of problem that you have faced, you are already exhausted, your willpower. And when even you get realized, you have the cup, but you have no strength left within yourself to raise it to your mouth and to enjoy the nectar of your realization. More so in places which are supposed to be developed. In developing that part of your systems, you have exhausted yourself much more. I mean, it was all right up to a point. But when human beings know something, they'll go to the extreme end of everything. Now, if you know electricity, then everything must work on electricity. Your lift will work on electricity, this will work on electricity. Now computer have come, all right. Now they will make human beings into electrical electrodes. I don't know what they are going to make out of that. I mean, going to that extent, then electricity fails, finished. Now petrol started. Petrol, use petrol as much as you like. All right, now petrol is getting exhausted. So there's a shock, future shock conditions, in a trauma we sit. In that confused state, you are in a shocked state, oh God, what's going to happen to us? But why play into the hands of these things to that extent? The countries which are not so developed, see, you can say countries which are little underdeveloped and developed. You see, where a motor car runs and a bullock cart also runs. If the motor car fails, they can use the oxes to run the motor car. We call it Oxford. So one can rely on something else. There is an alternative already available. But when you cut out all the alternatives, then how can you find out any alternatives? For example, now we've got calculators. I was amazed in the shop. They can't count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If they make mistakes in somewhere, if you tell them that that's a mistake because you know how to calculate, they'll say, how can it be? Machine is not wrong, but your fingers were wrong somewhere. They have no alternatives left now. I mean, they have to depend on the electricity. They have to depend on petrol. You have to depend on all these elements. So, if you find with little detachment, you are already slaves of all these elements. Instead of becoming free birds, we have become now slaves of this. So we start finding out alternatives. Now what can alternatives we can have? We have lost all deftness to do any handwork. After some time, I think people won't be even able to clean their dishes. They will need a machine. As it is, they can't clean their clothes, I think. They can't comb their hair. What's going to happen? You will need even a machine to feed you. Going to that extent, when we go up to such a limit that we become absolute slaves, the confusion is worse. But after realization, the whole thing changes. All the priorities change, you become a different person. It's a tremendous change that comes within you. But to appreciate it, to understand it and use it, you have to stabilize yourself because you are still shaking. And it's very easy to go back to the life which you have led so far. We have had people coming from all walks of life. We had people, bureaucrats, we had people who were hippies, we had people, I mean, they must belong to some club, you know. Are you a communist or a socialist? Like when I came here, they asked me, what is your politics? I looked at them. I said, which one? They said, I mean, what politics we have? What is yours? I said, I don't know. Quite confused, you see. I was quite confused because I had no politics at all. There's only one politics for me. That is the politics of divine, of God, where he plays his tricks on all human beings. I see that every day. They don't know, but he's playing tricks on everyone, on nations, on human beings, on all organizations. He's playing tricks all the time to make you learn so many things, but you don't want to learn. That's the only politics. These politics are nothing but children's play. They are of no use. This is just you want to play with cards, you know, sit down and play. That's all to me. Otherwise, there is no politics for me. What is economics of God? That's the only economics that reigns. No other economics reigns for me. His economics is that matter doesn't give you joy. He gives you something that gives you joy, that gives you compassion, love, security, health, innocence. Above all, it gives you the power to love others. Tremendous power it is. We have never used the power of love. Never. Always we have used the power of hatred. All our politics and economics is based on hatred. We create goods to sell by seeing what weaknesses people have. Like England or America and all these Western countries, in India, the crooks found out that there are many seekers in these countries. All right, export all the crooks. They all came out of the jail and are here back. They have got Rolls Royces, they have got big, big, huge houses, they have got huge, big aeroplanes. And you can't see that. This is the economics of human beings. But God's economics is such that if you have any want, it looks after you. But it gives you a desire for the right type of wants. Because the whole system changes. The whole value system changes. A person who is a realized soul would like to have vibrations flowing all the time. Today I had taken my grandchildren to a shop to buy them a sweater. It's very difficult because they are realized souls, all of them. So I gave them a very beautiful one. I said, how do you like it? She said, no, it's very uncomfortable. It was acrylic. They just can't have it. I said, but it's quite nice and cheap. So she refused to have it. Then it was semi-acrylic, refused to have it. Then I gave her a bowl. I said, but this bowl will be only one, while you can have 10 like these if you buy acrylic. She said, better to have one which you can wear than to have 10 which you cannot wear. The whole value system changes. To have too many things becomes useless. Have one which is comfortable to your being. Somehow, they have reached even rationally through your science and to such points that Sahaja Yoga just fits into it. I sometimes feel all these things have created the beautiful ring for the diamond of Sahaja Yoga to just fit into it. For example, people are now realizing that there is no sense in creating plastic. But say about 30 years back, people would have been proud to have a sofa set made out of plastic. We had a ship from Norway, I remember about 30 years back, and they were going round to show us how they had made plastic railings for the staircases, beautiful plastic railings. And we were all very much enamored in India, you see, how they had made it. While we can make very beautiful carbons, but we thought, oh, this is wonderful, looks so nice, washable, you can wash it, no polishing needed, no painting needed, wonderful thing, just go ahead with it. But now the same Norwegians are asking Indians to create some things for them out of wood. So the whole value system changes as soon as you start feeling yourself, your being, because your being is absolute. It is truth and its complete beauty manifests. When you start with your willpower accepting the new challenge that is given to you. And that is the time where this built-in ego of ages stands out. Why? Why to do like this? So many things in the society that we have, whether in India or here or anywhere in the whole world, are so shocking that only after realization you realize that you have been going on with it all these lives, and your parents have been and their parents have been. It's absolutely shocking thing. But for that you have to first get your realization. That part is not so difficult, as I told you, because the time has come for many to get realization. But how many will enjoy it, you cannot say. Because Mr. Ego is the worst enemy of human beings. First of all, they cannot take it from anyone else but themselves. This is the big problem. I say even take that way, but it cannot be done. Now, supposing somebody has to do it, it's not a very easy thing, you know. It's a very difficult thing to do such a thing, and it's horribly embarrassing. You have to do something which people think they can do themselves. You can imagine how embarrassing it is. Only a mother can take such a situation, that she knows her children are like that, doesn't matter. But any other person would say, go to hell, what do I care? Why should I take the responsibility of anybody, and why should I say all these things to them? If they are so egoistical, let them go to hell. This is what is really the situation. But supposing somebody is nothing but compassion and love. Supposing, I mean, it's a supposition for many people. They can't believe it. Supposing someone is, then someone has to do it. And if someone has to do it, why be so angry about it? This I have failed to understand. Like in Spain, one gentleman got realization. And he couldn't believe that it has happened. And he came to me and argued with me in a very funny manner. He said, but why is it you had to do it? I said, you do it. That he can't do. I said, all right. Now, if you are angry for that, because it has happened in my presence, he was angry with me. He was thinking, why shouldn't he do it? I said, all right, now you can do it. But before this you could not. So he's very angry for that also. He said, why should God make one person do it? I said, it's really horrible. I tell you, if he had given 100 people to do it, it would have been much better. I would have taken some rest myself. Because I'm already 60 years of age, and when am I going to retire? But it's not so. What can I do? Then he was still angry with me. He said, but must be something why you are doing it. I said, yes, there is. What is it? I said, love. He couldn't understand that. He couldn't understand that. So he went on with very great anger still. He said, but must be something. Then foolishly one of the Sahaj Yogis, he brought my shoes down to put in my feet, which I never asked them. I've never asked them. I would not like it. But they like it because there are vibrations in my shoes. It's out of their self-interest they are doing it. And he said, this is the reason why you are doing all this. I said, really? It's very wise. And at that point, he left Sahaj Yoga. So there are such wise people in this world. I am talking of something very great. And the wisdom of people is so limited. The quality of wisdom is poor. They are intelligent, well educated, but quality of wisdom is very poor. But in a village, you go, you always find villagers more wise than the city people, I tell you. The reason is they live with the Mother Earth. They take all their innocence. Without innocence, you cannot have wisdom. Innocence is the basis of wisdom. Normally, people who are living in the city have to deal with such crooks that part of the wisdom is lost. And that's why the quality of wisdom, I find, is lacking. If that is there, Sahaj Yoga works out. It gives you what is your own, and you enjoy what is your own. Now take a simple question, a simple thing. You have got, say for example, your property, say your ornaments, kept with someone. And somebody knows the keys and the ornaments. Say your forefathers have given the key to a person.
Now we'll have some silent meditation. Keep our attention on Sahasrara. Shri Mataji, by your grace, please help us break all our bondages within us and help our light glow within us and surrender under your lotus feet. And keep us always at your lotus feet. We'll keep our attention on Sahasrara for a few more minutes. We'll keep our right hand on our left heart. Thank you, Shri Mataji. Thank you for everything. Thank you for today's meditation. We'll bow down to Shri Mataji and take Bandhan. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining today's meditation. Have a good evening and good night. If anyone wants to continue meditation, we'll put some music.